Well, good morning. This is Linda from North Central Texas. I thought I'd give you an update on my garden. There's perpetual spinach right there. Came up from seed. There's some more right there come up from seed. And as usual, look at this. I've got a volunteer tomato plant right there. In fact, there's two of them right there. I got a perpetual spinach that was not planted there. I did plant the zucchini. So I'm going to have to do something with those tomato plants. There's two of them. Sunflowers coming up with moonflowers right there. And you see I trimmed back my aloe vera. I kind of butchered it. I didn't have my knife and I broke it off with my hands, and I should know better. I should have had a knife to cut it off clean. But it'll grow. And look at there. There's our rose cutting that I put down there just on a whim to see if it would root in this pot where the peppermint was. I haven't seen any peppermint come up, but we'll see. I mean, that might be some right there popping up. But I do have a rose bush that's rooting. I've got flower seeds coming up right there that I planted before all the rain. Got more right there coming up. You can barely see them, but they are coming up right in the middle of the screen. I've got my hollyhocks right there coming up from seed. And I've got a lot of other seeds planted out here right along with the blanket flowers and my rose bush. I need to come out here and pull up all of this yellow stuff, these yellow flowers. But I was going to wait and let them bloom, and then I was going to pull them out. Because they're all wildflowers that came up from seed that I planted years ago. There's a sunflower coming up voluntarily. I still don't see my cucumbers. It's sprinkling rain out here now. You know what? I spoke too soon. Look at there. There's a cucumber right in the middle of the screen. That is a cucumber. And I got flower seed coming up there. Over here. It's all going to be popping up after this rain. I've got peppers, eggplant, flowers, sunflowers, blanket flowers, you name it. So it should be pretty when it all comes up. And there's some of my flower bulbs coming up right there. I've got gladiolas, all kind of bulbs planted in here if they come up again. But I've got sunflowers. There's one. There's one. It's going to look pretty here. And there's a blanket flower that I planted. It's kind of wilted, but it'll live. There's one right there that I had put out. Right along with seeds that's coming up. There's another one. I planted the whole edge wherever I could with blanket flowers. I'm looking real close for my seeds, because see there is seeds coming up right there. Right there. Can barely see it, but it is. They're coming up. But again, I don't see my cucumber on this side. But I got one on the front up there, so maybe it'll live and produce some cucumbers out here. And I can always bring another seed or two. And all my wildflowers are taking over this crepe myrtle, the dark one. There's flower seeds coming up there. All these blanket flowers. And they're spread, you know, they spread all over the yard. I'd love to get this rock garden just full of blanket flowers because they bloom and last a long time throughout the summer. I got to get my little ladybugs out here. You can't see them. They're covered. I thought there was another one. I got one up there. He's starting to rust. See, I got blanket flowers planted there. And there. And I put seeds in there too. See, the seeds are coming up. I put marigolds, and I don't remember what the other seed was I put out. But the rose bush is looking good, and I do wish I'd have trimmed that whole rose bush back. I still could do it, but it's got rosebuds on it. I don't want to cut my rosebuds off. Yeah, look at all those sunflowers. And that's just where they fell out of the plant that was in there last year. Need to clean the bird bath out a little bit. I got wildflowers coming up in the cracks of the concrete there. It's silly. You plant them and they don't come up where you plant them, but the seeds, they come up everywhere else. Like all these are sunflower or wildflowers, all on the outside of the rock garden. Crazy. Let's go check on my mums out here and my bluebonnets. Let's see, this whole yard is covered in wildflowers. Look at the purple ones. There you can see better. I'll give you a close-up. That's why I don't want to mow. Be cutting down all my flowers if I mow. My yard's full of them. And I definitely don't want to cut down my bluebonnets. There's a bluebonnet right there. This right here is a bluebonnet. This one right here is a bluebonnet. And I don't know how many more have spread around here and have come up. But I don't want to step on them. But I got bluebonnets in there. That right there is a bluebonnet. Got a bluebonnet in there, coming up between the pot and the rocks. And they'll drop seeds every year when they come up. See, like here, there's a bluebonnet. So they're starting to spread. And I definitely don't want to cut them. But there's my mums. And I put marigold and some other flower seeds in there. Looks like they might be coming up. And I pulled out that crepe myrtle there. I got to maybe put a pot there or something. I don't know. Haven't decided. Looking around to see if I see any more of my bluebonnets. They're hard to see in everything else. But there's one right there. This right here, that is a bluebonnet. It'll have one of those big bluebonnet flowers on it. I'm looking, but amongst all these other flowers, it's hard to tell where the bluebonnets are. And I don't know. This is still green. Most of it is. But I don't know if it's rooted. Part of it has died. But I'll leave it there till it completely dies. As long as there's hope. I may have to just put pots out here. I don't know. And see, that one's not doing anything. It's not dead completely, but it's not doing anything either. See all the wildflowers? They come up just all over the yard. Since I had thrown so many seeds out a couple of years ago. I got perpetual spinach, moonflowers, I mean, look at that pot. It is crammed full of moonflowers. That's all moonflowers coming up from seed that dropped. And I got one or two in here that are going to have to come out because I don't want them in here with my spinach. I planted tons of marigold seeds out here. You see all the blanket flowers that I stuck down. So it really, even if nothing but the blanket flowers live, it'll be pretty. Because that'll get pretty big. But I've got a mashed potato squash right there. See that right in the center of that blue pot? That is a seedling coming up from the seed that I planted for a mashed potato squash. I've never grown those before, so I'm anxious to see what they do. But yeah, I've got tons of seeds. You can see right there, some of the seeds are coming up. Some of them are coming up over here, so it won't be long before it'll be full of something. Now this one, look at there. It's putting out leaves, so it's probably rooted and it's growing. I don't know if the other ones are getting too much sun and it dries the dirt out too much on it or what until they get rooted. But maybe we'll have one there. That one barely has started. We'll see. I'm not giving up on it yet. And that one looks like it's trying to since it rained so much. And it's still green, so I know it's alive. It's probably trying to root. Look at all these pink flowers. They're covering the whole yard, and I love it. And I got this rose bush that's still green. We'll see what it does. I mean, this is what, the third time I've tried rose bushes out here. If these don't survive this time, I'm just going to put a pot. I'll take some of those big pots and maybe put them out here along the property line. And plant flowers or something in it, I don't know. But it's time we had a fire too. But just look at all this. It's just, none of it is grass. It's all wildflowers. Most of them have not even bloomed yet. My whole yard is a flower pot. You see, I got seeds coming up there. It don't get as much sun back over here. And there's seeds there coming up. Barely started, but they're coming up. And I can't see my marker, but I can see that the seed is coming up right in the middle there. It's a squash. I just don't know offhand what kind of squash till I can get over there to see the marker. But there's the moonflowers, y'all. Aren't they pretty? Since all this rain. And I had to put ant poison out because that hill right there was just covered in ants and ant eggs. Oh, it was terrible. Look at that moonflower plant. It's beautiful. It's going to have some pretty flowers on it. All of these are wildflowers. And there's a big old plant there of moonflower. One right there. And look at all of them coming up there. There was a whole handful of seed dropped there. Right there too. That's all moonflowers coming up from the seed that just got dropped last year. Look at that. I didn't plant those. Those were some of the pods that dropped that I didn't catch last year. I got marigolds right there coming up. Looks like I got some marigolds there coming up. And look at all this. All of these blanket flowers coming up all around the rocks. Because I had some planted in that pot one time. And the seeds dropped and they're just going everywhere. Got a zucchini in there, sunflower, kale or Chinese cabbage, blanket flower. Check on my bok choy. I put a few wood chips around them the other day. Man, there's 3 or 4 of them in there. I tried to only put one plant in a pot. And those are moonflowers coming up there from last year. So I didn't plant any bok choy in there. It's going to be full of moonflowers. And there's my crepe myrtle here. It's looking good. You know, all of them look like they were dead. That's the way they do. But look at all the blanket flowers come up. I've got enough blanket flowers, I could supply a nursery with them. All of these here are blanket flowers. Every one of them. They're just so thick. My yellow squash. Look how nice that's looking since it's rained so much. And there's another yellow squash. It's looking real good. And there's the rose cuttings here. They're still pretty and green, so they're rooting or doing something down there. And that one's putting out tons of leaves. And this one's starting to put out leaves. That one is. Look at there. This one is too. So maybe these along here will live. You know, remember that one was from last year. And look at the buds on it. It's full of rose buds. My clematis is all coming up. Clematis. It's starting to travel up the vine. I mean, up the thing already. It don't grow as fast as the other one does. I need to get a sprig of the other one and get it over here. So we'll go on up the arbor. Just can't get over all these blanket flowers. I mean, I priced plants for blanket flowers, living plants, and the cheapest one I saw in a quart pot was $7. And look at the thousands of them I've got. That's a lot of money right there. And there's my watermelon. I don't know if the other one has come up yet over here. Nope. It'll take it a while, but they'll come up. Look at all this. Ooh, something's biting me. I don't know if I had an ant climb up me or what it was. But yeah, I got to get dirt in these potatoes. Because look how good they're growing, but they need more dirt in there. They're all looking good. My onions or garlic, I don't know which. Because I didn't mark it. I don't know if that was the onions or the garlic. Can't tell. But look at this. I need to harvest some greens, y'all. Look at this. That is massive. That's just one plant. One plant right there. More potatoes. My onions in here that are getting covered up by this plant. More potatoes. Look how pretty they look. So healthy looking. My banana trees are still hanging on. Looks like that one's starting to grow a little bit. You ought to know I got a potato plant in there. I tried to pull it out, but it's got roots too thick. And I don't know if this is a squash or zucchini, a melon, or what it is, but it come up in the compost voluntarily with my banana tree. So I've just left it there. And this is sweet dumpling squash. I'm anxious to see how they'll grow here. More potatoes. My kale, and I had planted basil in there in that little pot. I don't see it coming up yet. This is not basil here, but my greens are growing good. My onions in these two pots just don't look too good. Or garlic, I don't know which. I may need more dirt in there. These here don't look too bad. And y'all to know I didn't mark them, so I don't know which one was the Egyptian onions and which one. These look like Egyptian walking onions here. These other one looks like garlic or some of the other onions. And this, I don't remember. I put a thing in there to mark it, and then I didn't write what it was. So it's some kind of squash, zucchini, melon. I don't know. We'll see when it produces anything, I guess. That's a yellow squash there. And look at my greens here, how pretty. And that is spinach there, coming up from seed in that pot. Another pot of greens. And I've got tomatoes coming up, look. I've got 3 or 4 tomato plants come up right there. I'm gonna leave them too. And see, I thinned the Chinese cabbage out. I spaced them out a little bit. So I've got this top one is Chinese cabbage. This is Chinese cabbage. This is still Russian kale here. This is bok choy, but it's been thinned out, so hopefully it'll grow okay. And then down here I thinned out the romaine lettuce. So hopefully it'll grow okay. It's the way I got it spaced out. But there's the production on my hillbilly tomatoes, the gold ones. It's the plant. There's one right there. It don't even have its true leaves yet. It's just got the seedling leaves on it. And like I said, I got about 3 of them here. And those are the hillbilly. No, that's a beefsteak tomato there. And this is the red slicing tomato. I got 4 plants come up there so far. And I barely see seeds popping up out of the ground over here. This is my parsnips, I think. Yeah. And I'm told it takes about 30 days for those seeds to germinate. But look at the greens. And this is a hillbilly tomato. That's the golden tomato, the big one. There's a squash. More Chinese cabbage. Golden beets right there. And see how I did my rutabaga? I took these 2 quarts or gallon pots, and I put 1 rutabaga plant in each one, because you know a rutabaga usually gets pretty big. And I think that is a sunflower right there, come up voluntarily. I left it to see what it was going to be, and I think it's a sunflower. But I got more greens planted here that are coming up. And I think I got peppers. Yeah, hot peppers in the bottom, but they haven't come up yet. But there's more of my rutabaga. All these little pots are all rutabaga. If I could have planted in the ground, I bet they would have done fantastic. But there's all my okra. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plants that I've seen come up so far of okra. So if all of those survive in this little swimming pool, they should be able to produce enough okra for me at one time. And there's all my greens. Look how they're growing out of the buckets. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Got one growing out of the middle. I got a new one started at that bucket, and I got perpetual spinach or Swiss chard on the end bucket over there. There goes more rutabaga. I put 3 in that because I was running out of buckets. I've got green bell pepper, planted here in those 3 pots. We'll see if it does anything. I've got a zucchini or 2 zucchini plants here. And there's little buddy. He says, "How dare you start a garden tour without me?" He said, "How dare you?" Yeah, how dare you start a garden tour without me? He says, I always come on your garden tours. Well, let's go take a look at my bearded iris. They have done, oh my goodness. They have done some growing. Look at that. I'm hoping that they bloom by Easter. I'm hoping. I think I see a... No, that was a false one. I thought it was a bloom already, but it was the leaf. And I've been pulling this out, trying to get it out as it comes up. I said I wasn't going to do this doing this garden tour. But there's my rose bush. It's putting out buds. Look at that. All my rose bushes have buds. So we'll have roses pretty soon, probably by Easter. And it looks like my blanket flowers are living here in my rock garden, taking the place of that dead rose bush. Need to get some more planted in there. And there's this rose bush. It's got buds. Some of them are hiding from me, but it's got buds on it. See, there's one there. One there. Just starting to get buds. And there's my rutabagas here. I put, 7 in one pot here because it's a big pot. But that's all the rutabaga. I got cucumbers. Look at those. I'm going to have to transplant some cucumbers. And I think that's tomatoes coming up right there. But I got a yellow squash there. My basil's coming up. Look at there. It's popping out of the ground. So I'll be transplanting some basil. Yellow squash. And my other rose bush. And look at there. It's pretty. Fixing to open. Getting ready to open, y'all. Look at those. All those buds. It's going to be pretty. My peppermint. And little buddy. He just realized a minute ago that I was doing a garden tour. So he came running. My chives. Chives here with my wildflower. Man, I've got to clean this out. I won't be able to do anything with the chives for all this other stuff. My onions there. Those were onions planted from seed last year, and I had volunteers that come up through the winter, and they survived, and there they are. I've got a rutabaga there. I had planted a rutabaga there, but it's gone. Take that up. I'm going to plant a tomato or something else over there. But I got a rutabaga there and one in the pot. So, you know, I got plenty of space to put a pepper plant or something else there with it. Let's see if my peas are coming up. Oh, look at there, my bush beans. Look at there, they are coming up. That's several inches tall. This is going to be pretty when it's full of bush beans. There's one. There's one here. There. Down there. Look at that. Every one of these are just about coming up. There's only one or two of these sections that don't have a pea plant or bean. You can't hardly see it, but there is one popping up out of the ground right there. Right in the center of the screen, you see that little bit of green. There's one right there. So this is going to be something. I'm going to have kale. I've got a broccoli here. This was the one that survived all winter. That broccoli did. I've got kale. And then all the rest of them are bush beans, which this tower ought to get crazy full with beans. But see, still got plants in here I got to get out. The hillbilly tomatoes. And there's a mashed potato squash. That one hasn't come up yet. And that is Shasta daisy, if it ever comes up. I don't know if those three right there might be from the seed. And I've got gold medal tomatoes here. I mean, they're just tiny little bitty plants so far because, you know, they just come up. I've got more watermelon over there. I've got the Charleston Gray, and I've got canary yellow melons. So I got to get those transplanted. And here is the Hungarian hot wax peppers that are coming up from seed. I've got a few flower seed trying to come up here. Move that because it's blocking a plant trying to come up. So maybe there'll be hope for this seed tray. I do have seeds popping up. And this is sweet macaroni peppers that are trying to come up in here. But see, they're not big enough to transplant or do anything with yet. Look at little buddy. He likes it even in the greenhouse. Look at that. Just taking it easy down there. He says, I just like to hang out. Yeah, he just likes to hang out. Ain't that right, little buddy? So he just likes to hang out. He's silly. Look at him in there. So, hey, little buddy. He likes laying in the greenhouse, especially when the sun's shining. He'll get right in the center of the floor in there and lay down right in the sun. It's nice and warm in there. But here's all my beans, you know, my 1.5 long beans, foot-long beans, or whatever they call them. They are all coming up. Right here with my greens. That is a beautiful plant right there. Look at all those foot-long beans. They should fill this trellis up with peas. Foot-long beans. Your little buddy, he's still in the greenhouse. He said, I'll just hang out here for a bit. Silly cat. But isn't that beautiful? Look at that. And my sunflowers over here. I'm going to have a corner just full of beautiful sunflowers. And I went ahead and transplanted romaine lettuce in the buckets, that little pot, my dish pans. I got it spaced out. So hopefully they'll grow good spaced out like that. Right there, here. Every one of my dish pans and my pots right here are all lettuce, romaine lettuce. And then I've got that. It's either parsley or celery. I think it's parsley. I got gold medal tomatoes there, 2 of them. Gold medal tomatoes there, looks like 3. Sweet dumpling squash. Canary yellow melon. I'm anxious to see what that's going to do here. And I put eggplant seed in that little pot to see if it'll do anything. And this is eggplant. I got this tote planted in eggplant, but it takes a while for it to come up. And here's all my asparagus. I broke it all off and ate it. Haven't seen any more come out on it yet, but it probably will. The sunflowers there are looking good. I got red tomato seed planted here. Jalapeno pepper planted here, seed. And back there's a hot pepper seed. I got tomato seed here, look. And tomatoes planted in those totes back there. I put seeds out. So we'll see how long it takes them to come up. And that's bell pepper seeds I put in there. Hot pepper and a tomato here. But they got to come up. They're not germinated yet. My walking onions. Anytime I need green onions, I come out here and just break me off a handful. Just like with there too. I think that's yellow squash that I put seeds here. And yellow squash here, if they come up. Look at my potato plant. You reckon I'll have potatoes off of that? I should throw some more dirt on top. Give it a chance. Okay, where are my cucumbers? I see one right there. Right there, you can see. Right there's one, and right there. The leaves are covering them. There's one. Two of them's come up there. Those leaves will stay off of them. All these leaves just cover the top. But they should still come up. Well, they started coming up here, so they'll come up here too. These on the front side will come up. Ain't that right, little buddy? He's got wood chips on him where he laid down in there. And see, I haven't got these planted yet. My potatoes, look at those. Oh my goodness. I don't have any of these planted yet. But like I said, I've still got plenty of plants, little seedlings coming up in the greenhouse. So I got a sunflower, walking onion with my raspberry bush. That raspberry bush is just going crazy. Look at this. Just hope it has some raspberries on it this year. And all my blanket flowers in the blocks. I planted red slicing tomato seed there, here, and here. And in those two pots with the pink markers, they have the red slicing tomatoes. When they come up, they got to germinate. And I got red tomato here with a rutabaga in that one at the top. Red slicing tomatoes. Rutabaga here. Red slicing tomato seed there, and tomato seed there. So this whole 2 rows on either side of my arbors are going to have red slicing tomatoes when they germinate and come up. They haven't been planted long enough to come up yet. But look at this. Isn't that beautiful? I need some of these over on that other arbor over there. I think I'll go find some seed because I know I've got more seeds. And I can go ahead and plant some of those over there too. I did put a rutabaga there. I got a rutabaga here and one back there. I don't think I planted anything in this pot yet. Got nothing but leaves in it right now. But see, I got all these to plant yet. And I still got 4 of those great big green pots that I just recently got. But look at this. Don't they look good? And like I said, I haven't planted the bottom 3 yet. I've got red slicing tomatoes planted here, the seeds, and here, if they come up. And I've planted so many seeds in this, I don't know what's there anymore, but I know it's all flowers. I know I got marigolds and God knows what else. Peppermint. Look at that. Is it ever going to bloom? Do y'all think it's ever going to bloom? It has not bloomed since I've had it. I've got not only hollyhocks here, but I planted, I think, nasturtiums that have just come up. Because I was afraid the hollyhocks may not make it to come back. And look, these are all blooming. That is a beautiful flower right there. And I've got more of those plants coming up here, right here. Also got a oak tree coming up in there, which I don't need. But look at that. That one's just opening. That one's getting ready to open. That one is too. You have to stay with it, though, to keep it going toward the arbor. And see, it's got flowers all the way up at the top of the arbor up there. I need some of this clematis to that other arbor back there. And like I said, I'm going to hunt up my seeds, and I'm going to see if I can put some more out there. And look out here. I got a lot of flowers coming up. Nothing's blooming yet. Nothing except that Easter flower, as I call it, that has the purple. Look where little buddy is. And his little girlfriend Goldie's taken off. I went ahead and planted blanket flowers up here because I noticed most of my daylilies did not come back. This whole thing up here on the top was just covered in daylilies. But I think last year, since I couldn't water it, a lot of the bulbs dried out. But there's a couple of them that did come back right there, so. Ain't that right, little buddy? Huh? He said, "This is what I think of the whole situation." Look at that. And this rose bush, the little cutting we put out just this summer with the other ones, it's getting leaves. So maybe it's rooted, I don't know. We got daylilies coming up there. Got flower seeds coming up. That one's getting buds. The little white flower, or yellow rose of Texas, as I call it. Flower seeds. And I got blanket flowers and daylilies and all kind of stuff coming up here. There's one of the plants right there that came up from last year. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a Mexican plant. It'll die down and come back every year. And that's it right there. You can see that it's coming back green. So my rock garden out there is full of flowers. If they'll just grow and do something. And I see a rocks fell off of my wall up there. Probably a squirrel ran across it. But I got sunflowers, got mums, daylilies, all kind of bulbs. If I don't step on them, remember where I planted them. You see, that's marigolds right there coming up. They should grow good. Marigolds there. I got some back there where they were coming up. Just trying hard not to step on any of them. Here goes some coming up. So my seeds from last year were good. Got some coming there. I planted some there. And I do have some daylilies and gladiolas coming up back there. And I got a little buddy growing in the garden. He's going to come out here and get in the sun. I got to cut all of these tree limbs and stuff back. They're growing over my rock garden here. But like I said, you know, I'm only one person and there's so much to do. I can't get to it all. I got so much to do today that I just don't know where to start. And there's my Easter flowers are coming up all out here. They drop seed and spread just like the rest of the wildflowers. But they're pretty when they're blooming. Where'd little buddy go? Oh, he's still out there in the rock garden. He said, I'll hang out here in the sun. He said, I'll hang out here in the sun. Oh, look at all wildflowers. They're just growing so much with all this rain, which I love it, but it makes my yard look like it needs to be mowed. But I just don't want to cut these wildflowers down. All of those are blanket flowers. Every bit of them are blanket flowers. Growing all around the crepe myrtle. And all that seed's coming up here. So I should have some pretty flowers if I can keep them watered when it gets real dry. I do want to get a couple more of my sunflowers and transplant them out here. Not many, but I do want a couple more. Because this is in the front, facing the street. See, I got one there and one there. And I got one right there. But I wouldn't mind having a couple more. So we'll see. And my cucumber. I'm tickled to death over my cucumber coming up right there. Right up there against the tree. That's going to be so cool. if it starts growing up the tree. And I don't know why the seed didn't come up here. Maybe it just hasn't germinated yet. Can put out another seed or two, I guess. But I got daylilies, all these wildflowers. It looks kind of messy right now, but it's all flowers. Sunflowers right there. Oh, so we'll see. I was hoping these things would straighten out, but I don't know if they're going to or not. That's a wonky looking aloe vera, but it's going to grow since I separated it all. And with that, folks, I think I'm going to call this garden tour. Maybe transplant a few more of my sunflowers out there while the ground is still really wet, and see what happens. So we'll talk to you later. Y'all have a blessed day.